The agenda is to destroy human populations across the planet. So, what is the solution? The globalist agenda is to destroy infrastructure in targeted areas to make them unlivable, thereby forcing mass migration out of those zones to make way for their next occupation plan. Gaza, Lebanon, Tampa Bay, Sarasota, North Carolina, Maui, Acapulco, and so on. It is all the same agenda, just achieved with different weapons. The power restoration in western North Carolina could take months to restore, and 360 substations are down indefinitely. Hurricane Milton was perfectly positioned to devastate nearly the entire state of Florida, with super intense flooding on the north side of the storm, encompassing Orlando, Ocala, Tampa, and more. The devastation is massive and will absolutely wreck Florida's fertilizer exporters, with huge implications on next year's farm crops in America. Engineered storms equals engineered famine. The Biden-Harris administration's America Last policies have left the country vulnerable, between draining the strategic petroleum reserve, sending hundreds of billions in cash and equipment to Ukraine, such as electrical transformers that are now needed after the hurricanes, and FEMA spending $640 million to help migrants. The agency tasked with emergency preparedness is now broke and doesn't have enough money to get through hurricane season, which typically lasts through November. Unfortunately, even the individuals that are awakening do not understand what is happening. Humanity is being bombarded more and more every day, but most are still trying to find a solution inside this rotten system. Humanity is in a monumental dead end. This is an evolutionary crisis. It is the end of the human species, the end of the intelligent animal. Each individual must make the choice to stop participating and nurturing this horrible illusion, which we believe to be a reality. It is time to dream about the next step, the new idessic species. Recently, my soul pushed me with extreme intensity, and therefore I had to listen to her. I faced my greatest fear. I left my family and the world of illusion. The only way forward is to get out of the illusion, out of the triangle of hell. I must remember who I am, and then understand what the hell I'm doing here on Earth. I include the links to my video, I'm Out of the Matrix. This chart of the big picture of the evolution of human consciousness is the tool that Dr. Ghislaine Langto, author of The Medical Mafia, created to help us understand humanity's purpose. Today, Dr. Langto is simply Guy. She created many tools, and this tool, chart of the evolution of human consciousness, helps us understand what is going on in the world today and why this great suffering which humanity is living is in fact an evolutionary gift, because this extreme suffering is necessary to get people into action. In the O of transformation, we see the word decision. First, one makes a decision, and then one moves into conscious action. The left side in gray is the world of illusion, where the human sheep herd has been living for eons. The right side is the world of reality, which humanity is now ready for. In 2000, I heard about Dr. Ghislaine Langto and the Medical Mafia, which was first published in 1994. Then, I heard about her second book. What the hell am I doing here anyway? This book was first published in 2001. I ordered 10 copies of The Medical Mafia and 10 copies of What the Hell in order to offer them to my patients in my dental office. I was completely ignorant to the fact that humanity was deeply unconscious and not at all interested in this information. Today, more and more individuals are awakening, and I have chosen to contribute to the evolution of human consciousness in the best way I know how. Booklet number 1 of Personal Creatia, Evolution Towards the New Species. This first booklet was published in French and English in 2008 and in Spanish in 2009. Guy updated this booklet in 2020, but only in French. In order to share this latest information, I will be translating the 2020 French version into English and Spanish. When a similar page is available in the original version, I will include a screenshot of that page as well as the translated 2020 version. If a similar page is not available, I will include the French page as well as the translated page. Please share this information with awakening individuals. Booklet number 1 of Personal Creatia, Evolution Towards the New Species, pages 14 and 15. Welcome to the sheepfold. The sheepfold designates the habitation of sheep. They are confined and monitored by a shepherd who ensures that they produce as much wool and flesh as possible. For his part, the shepherd provides them with security and protection. He nourishes them and protects them from the threat of the wolf. There's a tacit contract, security against freedom. Concretely, the sheep agrees to be domesticated and to give up the usufruct of his work. In return, the pastor undertakes to provide him with decent living conditions and a feeling of material and spiritual well-being. This contract is tacit. It is not official, but in fact traditionally accepted. It has always been like that. As long as the exchange is maintained in balance, even if precarious and unfair, the sheep continue to give their wool, the fruit of their work, and to die at the slaughterhouse. Sometimes they praise their master. Sometimes they criticize him, according to the circumstances. If they are not satisfied with his governance, they repudiate it and replace it with supposedly a better one. Nothing changes. The sheepfold continues to function as before. Despite this, the animals continue to accept their servitude and to revere their jailer. The shepherd they cannot do without. It has always been like that. Let's take a look at the reality of this establishment. The essence, the soul of the sheepfold is the sheep. Without the sheep, there's no wolf, no shepherd, and no sheepfold. The only one that produces something is the sheep. The other two accomplices live at the expense of the sheep. How is this possible? By scaring the fearful sheep. They stir up the threat of a virtual enemy, which varies according to need. Virus, CO2, etc. And it works. Each character of the sheepfold represents a sector of society. The sheep represents the citizen slave, equals people, equals poor victim. The wolf, money, bankers and multinationals, equals private, equals nasty predator. The shepherd, the authorities, politics and religion, equals public, equals good savior. The sheep is fearful by definition. If he manifests his need for emancipation, the problem reaction solution technique is set up. 1. The shepherd invents and releases a threatening fictitious enemy. Problem. 2. The wolf, his accomplice, launches his propaganda in the media. He explodes and spreads the fear of an illusory enemy. The sheep are very afraid and demand the protection of the shepherd. Reaction. 3. As a good father and savior, the shepherd reinforces the confinement of the sheep, the restriction of their freedom, and the intensification of their shearing. Solution. For their good. It has always been like that. What has always been like that? A minority of the rich people dominate and exploit the majority of the poor people. It has always been like this, and yet the poor are much more numerous. How is it possible? How do they do it? By mental control, mind control of the two elements of the human being. First, the spirit, the soul, taken care of by the religions. Then the matter, the body, governed by politics. These external authorities are false and misleading. Without the consent of the individual, they have no power. Therefore, the individual must consent to give his own authentic and sovereign power to the so-called authorities. He must remain a sheep. I will not enumerate the many techniques and stratagems used. I will simply mention the purpose of all this: to sabotage the very essence of the person, his true identity, his being. Religion, as well as all the rocks, religions, orders, cults, secret societies, sciences, spiritualities, teach us that we are poor sinners, inferior and subservient to a superior being, a God who is inaccessible to us in our lifetime. We have to die to know paradise, earn our paradise. Atheism, the opposite of religion, affirms that we are only matter, which is born and dies, like flowers and animals. It eliminates the mind. As for politics, it makes us citizens of a country or subjects of His Majesty, slaves, proud of belonging to their homeland and ready to die for it. In all cases, the human being is reduced to the status of a poor creature, of an external creator, and a slave of an external master. From there is born the separation of spirit and matter, soul and body, me and myself. And the consequence of this is fear. It is the separation of me with myself which causes fear. This is where fear comes from. Fear is what prevents the individual from contacting his natural common sense. This is how he becomes disconnected from his intelligence and his reason, and therefore he is manipulable at will from the outside. It is by keeping the human being in forgetfulness of who he is, the creator of the universe, that he is reduced to a fearful sheep who puts his confidence in his usurpers, master singers for millennium. Well played, external authorities. But your beautiful days are counted. It will not be like that anymore. We are committed to finding our inner sovereignty and obeying it, because A sheep who is no longer afraid is no longer a sheep. Infinite love. From millennium slavery to individual sovereignty. In the Orient, in the 20th century, Sri Aurobindo and the Mother discovered and anchored truth consciousness, the supramental consciousness in the earthly atmosphere. Once well anchored, the new consciousness was ready to move on to the next stage, its popularization and propagation. In the West, in the 21st century emerged personal creatia, the power of the sovereign person to govern oneself. Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga goes beyond individual liberation and undertakes collective transformation on earth. After the death of Sri Aurobindo, the Mother continued their work, and on February 29, 1956, the supramental consciousness was definitely anchored on earth. One single and sincere look at the present world situation is enough to convince anybody that it has reached a point of no return. Humanity is heading towards a monumental dead end. Let's stop repeating our obsolete ways, which can only bring more suffering. Personal creatia continues the diffusion of truth consciousness in the West. Substantial unity replaces the guru-disciple separation. Let us all spread the contagion of love. I'm out of the game. Like Truman in The Truman Show, I have taken my bow and left a world of illusion, this computer simulation to which I have given authority to manage my life. I leave the theater, where I have played time and time again the roles of disciple, daughter, parent, dentist, entrepreneur, citizen. Today, I devote myself fully and without limits to spreading individual sovereignty, the truth consciousness that I have been experiencing since 2002. Infinite love.